You never know where you're going to go. You never know who you're going to be around. You never know if, your life's going to be in jeopardy. I've been to some pretty wild places. But what's the most wildest place I've been? I'm going to tell you about it. Where staff are banging prisoners. Prisoners are blowing the staff's backs out. There was no lock-in. Do whatever you want to do, whenever you wanted to do it. But let's get into it. Private prisons. What's it really like? Man, Chad, how do you get kicked out of a county jail? Man, you ain't get kicked out of no county jail. Man, the fuck I didn't, bro. Been kicked out of every single one. What? How do you get kicked out of a county jail? Ask yourself that, right? Jail is supposed to keep you in prison and, this is the place. How can they say we don't want you? So let me tell you how this thing works when the feds bust you. And we're going to talk about private prison, CCA, one of the wildest places, probably the most wildest place that I've ever been, over the 18 straight years that I had did. So anyway, usually when you're arrested by the feds, the marshals, you're a marshal hold. So the U.S. Marshal Service are the people that are supposed to house you. You're not convicted yet. So, you're not FBOP. You're not federal prison, property yet. So the U.S. Marshals house you. And what they do is they have contracts, most of the time with county jails in your area. Unless you're caught in, Brooklyn, New York City, Chicago. You might end up at MDC Brooklyn. You might end up at MCC Manhattan if you're from New York or Chicago's little federal holding center they got. But for the most part, man, you're going to a county jail. And as all of us could relate, man, county jails are absolutely horrible. What's more dangerous, prison or the county jail? It depends on which one you're at. But anyway, our county jail was a pretty dangerous place, right? You end up in Monroe County Jail in Rochester, New York. You end up on that mainframe back in the day. 4M was for minors. Those of you that are listening from the Rock, man, they were punching people's heads off their shoulders. They used to call it a barbecue. I might have spoke about this before. They're like, man, we're about to have a barbecue. You show up, you walk in, and you don't even know what the word barbecue means. You don't even know what they're talking about. You think of barbecue, that's crazy. What they mean is they're about to barbecue your ass. They're about to, blood sport up there. Let me just say that. But then if you end up on the mainframe 3M, 2M, they will definitely punch your head off your shoulders. People, towards the, end of my county jail, people started, making little bangers and shanks in there. And, a couple people got hit up with those. But it wasn't prevalent like that, at that time or whatever. But anyway, man, county jail, I get kicked out of my local county jail. They send me to this other country county jail. And I'm there. I get kicked out for fighting. I've probably had 4 or 5 fights in this spot. And they're like, you know what? Next time you go to court, man, we don't want you back. They pretty much tell the marshals, we're done with this dude. Just a troublemaker, man. We don't want him. He's not worth the hassle. What are they paying him? $70, $80 a day to house you? We don't want him. Bring in some other people. So they end up taking me to this other county jail. I stayed there for a little while. And I get into it with the cops there, getting a little wrestling match with the cop at the Yates County Jail. And eventually I get kicked out of there. And I make it to that immigration facility, right? I go to that immigration facility and I just look around like, damn, this shit is a lot better than any county jail that I've ever been in. It's like an open dorm. There's like these rubber cushiony seats at the Batavia Federal Detention Center. But eventually, some of you might have heard that interview I did with, the cop over there. I pretty much wore out my welcome there too. Man, I'm facing a life sentence. I know that this shit is real. So there's not much that you can do to hurt me. And that's the thing about being in jail and the thing about being in prison. You never know who you're going to be around. You could be around dudes that just don't care. They know they ain't never getting out. And if they ain't never getting out, what can you take from them? What can you do to hurt a person that knows they ain't never getting out of prison? You can't do nothing. So what does that mean? Everybody's fair game, right? Cops, staff members, prisoners. Man, dudes will do whatever. And we got some good documentaries coming up. And I know someone's going to correct me on that word, but that's how I say it. Anyway, I end up in that immigration facility. That kid bites me in the face. And that was pretty much the end of my stay, man. Within, I think, maybe a week or two, man, I was done there but I end up going back there eventually when I go to get sentenced. But I'm done there for a little while. And I end up, going to CCA, a private prison, Corporations of America, right? We get to Youngstown, Ohio, 3.5, 4-hour drive. And I'm like, damn, man, I'm glad I'm here, man. I hate being handcuffed. And most of the time I'm black boxed. Wherever I go, I'm black boxed. Bunch of bullshit, but I'm black boxed because I have a history with some assaults on staff or whatever. So that's why they black box me pretty much in fights. So I'm black boxed. Even on the way to Ohio, I get to Ohio. They let us out. I'm like, man, thank God. I know the process. I've been in jail all my life. You go to medical, you take care of that pretty much. They ask you some questions. Might take you 35, 40 minutes, and then you're done. You're heading off to your unit. Well, Youngstown, Ohio didn't work that way. They were pretty unprofessional. They were taking people off the street. These people didn't even have uniforms, man. The cops didn't even have uniforms. The nurses didn't have uniforms. They're in there in jeans and T-shirt. You look at the person like, damn, man. Chick looks like, no disrespect to anybody, but looks like she's been up all night getting high, and she's the nurse. So they got us in there, and we're in there for hours upon hours. And then eventually we go to the unit at 3 a.m. Now, I know that I'm in a new place. I'm in a new state, right? I'm in Youngstown, Ohio. And I end up on the bus with this kid, man, from the Rock named Rugged, that I kind of click with him, man. I'm like, yo, what's up, man? We're talking, whatever. And we pretty much make a pact, like, yo, bro, we end up in the same unit. You already know what it is, man. We're from the Rock. And I've told people this plenty of times, man. That 585, it didn't matter back then what color you were, if you were Puerto Rican, black, white. We pretty much stuck together. We were like our own gang, man. Like, we held each other down. There's like a brotherhood, man, with Rochester dudes, right? Which is mind-boggling because so many dudes are out here killing each other in this city. But then when you end up in prison, you kind of be like, yo, this is all we got. This is our family, where we're from. That 585, Rochester, right? So me and this kid pretty much make a pact, like, yo, man, if it's anything, man, I'm leaving with you, you're leaving with me. And I always tell people, man, that ask me about prison, it's hard to trust people, right? But I always try to find one person, man, that I can count on in any jail that I go to. Like, if something happens, I know you're going to hold me down. If someone hits me from behind, you're going to hold me down for a second till I can get myself together, right? You might get hit from behind, boom, sitting at a table and dude drops you. What happens when a dude punches you in the face and drops you? You might need someone to get him off you for a minute, right? Then maybe you can get yourself together and you can start working. And you know what I mean when I say work. So anyway, me and this kid, we pretty much make a pact. We walk into this unit, right? Now, this is just now newly open. This was a place where a bunch of DC dudes had escaped from years before. It was abandoned. These people put their money together and they start a private prison and they clean the place up. They start making it look nice. And we go into this place. And I walk in here and I'm just like, what's going on? It's 3 a.m. and these dudes are sitting at a metal table playing dominoes. I'm thinking, they must be the orderlies. But there's like 20 people out. And I think they're watching, remember that show Flavor of Love? I used to tune into that joint, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. You be in prison, man, watching that like, damn. Remember them videos, man, them uncut videos at night? Nelly swiping the credit card through the girl's, through the girl, man, her behind, bro. Her behind. Eventually we'd start watching that stuff at night and you miss the streets, man. That stuff takes you back out there. You miss that life. You miss the streets. But anyway, man, we're in there. They're watching that Flavor of Love on the late night. Dudes are out of their cell. You don't even have to lock in this place unless it's count time. They lock you in for count. That's it. You could be out till 3, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. They lock you in when they say, hey, count time. And then that's when you go in. I'm like, damn, I ain't never been in no jail like this. Pretty much every jail that I have ever been in up to this point, the police had control of the prison. And let me just tell you, man, from being in different places, whenever the police don't have control, it's a dangerous prison. No matter what. Look at Alabama. We're getting ready to put that documentary together on Alabama. It's going to shock you when you hear this shit that's going on over there, right? But, I've never been in a place where it's just total chaos. And that's how it is in Alabama. That's how it is in Georgia. That's how it is to a certain extent, I believe, in Florida. You ain't going to go to no federal prisons where it's out of control. Not an actual federal prison ran by the Federal Bureau of Prisons Department of Justice. Like, you might have some crazy shit going on, people bringing shit in, whatever, but you ain't never going to be in a place where you can be out of your cell at 3 a.m. First, I was thinking it's the orderlies, but nah, not 15 people. It definitely wasn't the orderlies. Big ass room, concrete, can't hear shit. Just people loud, slamming dominoes. At 3 a.m, you're slamming dominoes on the table. And I'm like, wow, man. I'm literally in the wild, wild west when you walk into this private prison. So anyway, we walk in. I go in a cell. There's a dude in there already, right? What do you think dude's thinking, man? You coming in at 3 a.m, you're like, damn, man. And now I've been in jail. I've been to New York State prison. I'm like, damn, I don't want to walk in this dude's cell, man. So, I do. You put them big boy pants on, you walk in there, man. You bass up a little bit. Dude's like, what's up? He's sleep. What's up? Nah, ain't nothing, man. Where you from? Man, I'm from Rochester, man. Where you from? Man, I'm from Cleveland. Oh, all right. Yo, man, you got some New York homeboys over tomorrow, man. You're good. Go ahead, man. Make your bed. I always, I tell people, man, you got to be like a chameleon when you go to jail, right? And like, plenty of man, I'm from the hood. So when I walk into a place like that, I can talk that talk. I can speak that language, man. And most of the time, people respect you right off the jump. Or you might end up in a cell with someone that's an asshole, man. Just wants to be nasty. Oh, come on, man. You get them dudes, man. Anyone that's been to prison, you're listening, you get them dudes, man, they suck their teeth like, oh, man. They won't say nothing to you, man. But, you're in your feelings right now. Pretty much, man, this is jail, man. You know how this shit works. They bring people in at this time. And I've been in situations like that. So anyway, man, I make my little bed, man, use the bathroom. I try to be quiet, try to be respectful. And eventually they come around, man, they lock the door at 5 a.m. Boom. It's going to be count time. And you know what, man, I ain't going to lie to you, man. My stomach's touching my back. I remember this like it was yesterday. Stomach's touching my back. They end up unlocking the cells after the count. They tell everybody, stand in front of your cells. This little old white lady. You guys ever see that video I did where the lady this is crazy, where the lady tried to grab me through the window? She's like, you got any money? The light's turning green. Well, this cop pretty much looked like maybe a little bit younger version of her. Now, when I tell you, man, this place is off the hook, it's off the hook. They're taking people off the street. They're coming in with jeans on. They don't have no uniforms. They come in with jeans and a T-shirt and put on their walkie-talkie. This lady's probably about 5'2". Old-ass white lady. She says, all right, everybody stand in front of your door. They roll in the food. I'm like, damn, man, I'm hungry as a mother. Can't wait to eat, right? They roll in the food on these on a cart. There's trays. And she tells everyone, stand in front of your door. And the next thing I know, she says, okay, cell 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Come get your trays. As soon as she says that, man, dudes are attacking the trays, man. Attacking the trays. If you ain't tough, if you ain't strong, guess what? You ain't eating. You are not eating. People just rush the car. She goes, you know what? Fuck it. Free for all. I'm like, what the where am I at? But I know I'm hungry, man. I'm eating, man. I'm entitled to a meal. I'm eating. I run down there too. I end up getting my tray. There's dudes walking away with only milks, dudes with 4 or 5 trays, some dudes with no trays. And you're looking at these dudes like, damn, man. In that position, what are you going to do? You don't get a tray, man. I'm taking a tray. Not on no tough guy shit. I'm taking a tray. I'm going to eat. I got to eat. So that was my first experience at the CCA place. And eventually I ended up spending a lot of time here, man. And what's going on is, they're hiring people that are like right from the street, right? I used to say this, no disrespect to people, but I used to say, man, I hired the people here that, remember when welfare was making people get jobs? I said, man, welfare is making these people get a job. They opened up a private prison and they told me, oh man, go down there and apply. And they're paying these people what? $16 an hour, $17 an hour. And they're like, man, I got a good job. Nah, man, you really don't got a good job. You just think that you got a good job. They done kicked you off welfare and you're working in this spot. But what's going on in this place? It's not long, man. Within a week, man, I start seeing that dudes are all over the chicks. We're locked in this room, right? It's a big ass room. This is the first time when you really got some real freedom, right? The immigration facility, you're locked in that room, but the freedom ain't like the freedom in Youngstown, Ohio. It's not like the freedom at a CCA. You're locked in this big ass room. It's all concrete, man. You can't hear shit. They got a TV. You can't hear the TV. It's to a certain extent, a pretty depressing place. But it's like the street, man. Dudes are in there playing dice at night. People are in there, fighting all the time. You get caught in a cell over there, man, your ass is hit. Because the cops really don't give they're from the street. They don't give a fizzack. They don't care what happens to you, man. Dudes would walk up and hit the speaker button because they got a bubble right there. For those of you that don't know what the bubble is, the cop sits in this bubble, right? There's a housing unit here and a housing unit there. You might have seen some of the pictures. Maybe I could pull some up there in the video and put them on here. But you got the cop in the bubble, right? There's one guy in there controlling, or a chick. And then there's one cop that checks both sides of the units, right? One woman. Most of the time it was women. You got one woman walking around checking these housing units. Tell me that ain't wild. So anyway, man, dudes will walk up and hit the button and say, hey, man, let me out. I got to go to the barbershop. And people be like, sometimes they're trying to do their job. Might be a dude in there on this day. And he's like, well, you got a pass? Yo, man, I ain't got no pass, man. Open the fucking door, man. Stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with me. You got to see how dudes talk like that in jail, right? And then the cop would get scared, just buzz you open. Beep. Buzz you open, man. You walk out. You walk down to another unit, walk out in the hallway, go to the barbershop. Do whatever you want to do. You want to talk about total chaos? This place was total chaos. And eventually I had some issues there, right? What do you mean you had some issues? Not you, Chad. Yeah, of course, man. Everybody has issues. But let me tell you what the place is like at night, man. This is like being on the block. This is actually like being on the block. And most people just got arrested, right? A lot of people just got arrested. Everybody's there. People got money. You just came from the street. People got money. They're in there, man, playing dice. They got these big-ass commissary bags. Some dudes had cash money. Some dudes had the counselors under their belt already. Some dudes had the case manager. Yeah. In my unit, they had the case manager, man. So when you'd be like, how the hell did they get the case manager? Case manager was a pretty girl, man, light-skinned girl. She had some little freckles on her face. And a kid from Cleveland, man, had her under his wraps, right? So, they're bringing in the pack. What's the pack? For those of you that don't know what the pack is, the pack could be anything. Could be money, could be food, yeah, could be drugs, could be a cell phone. Well, you know what? I take that back because I don't really think they were rocking cell phones at that time when I was there. Eventually, I would come back there too when they did have cell phones. And I had never seen a cell phone the size of my thumb, but eventually I would see one at that place. So anyway, man, dudes are in there, they're gambling, they're smoking weed, like right out in the middle of the day room. Nobody cares, man. You're in a place full of chaos where nobody gives a Now, you want to talk about committing crimes and going into a place where it's a danger zone? This is it. Youngstown, Ohio was the danger zone, man. I think it was the first week I was there. And I think I might have talked about this before. Dude shows up, 3 a.m, comes upstairs, goes in his cell. There's another kid, man. Hey, listen, man, I'm just going to call it what it is. Kid named Bilal, right? He's got the staff. He's got this older black chick that works there. Man, this lady's literally sitting on his lap in the day room. This shit is crazy, right? I mean, it'd be unbelievable if you weren't there. The chick's sitting on his lap, man, drinking, whatever alcohol she's got. She's in there sipping her cup, sitting on his lap. He goes in there and tells his cellies, yo, man, y'all got to get out for a minute. He goes in the cell with her. He's blowing her back out in the cell. They come out. They're sitting at the table, man. And I'll never forget this. He puts in a bag of microwave popcorn. He walks out with no shirt on, pair of commissary shorts, and his slippers. She comes back out with her uniform on. And he throws a bag of popcorn in the microwave. He sits back down. She's on his lap again, and they're eating popcorn together. And I'm like, where am I at? Like, this is the wildest shit that I've ever seen, man. So she's sitting on his lap, whatever, they're watching television. And then eventually that same dude, somebody comes in at 2, 3 a.m, they go up in the cell, they lay down, he lays down. Now they're putting 3 people in the cell that's made for 2 people. They bring in them plastic boats, they put a boat in there. You're sleeping on a boat. A lot of dudes didn't even know what a boat was back then. When I had a boat, I just climbed in that joint, man. I thought you just put it on the floor and climb in it, but really you're supposed to flip it over, and it's like a bed to keep you off the ground, and you sleep on the top of it. But most people were sleeping. Most people were sleeping inside of it. I didn't even know how this shit works. So when I had a boat, I slept in the boat. Eventually, as crazy as this sounds, months later, I would realize, man, you're really probably supposed to flip this joint over and sleep on top of it. So anyway, man, dude gets in there at 3 a.m, man. He's up there sleeping in his boat, man. The kid Bilal finds out that he was there. He had went to bed early. He might have been 4 a.m. He might have been tired. And he goes in the cell, man. He starts beating this kid with a lock. And the kid comes running out with no shoes on, in his boxers, jumps down the stairs. Dude's chasing him with the lock. And he's yelling, yeah, man, why you beat me? You told on me. You the motherfucker told on me. You're hitting me. Man, I ain't trying to beef with you, but you're beating on me and you told on me. And then Bilal eventually disappears. He's no longer there with his girlfriend because dude kind of, exposed him, I guess you could say, right? These are the things that were happening in Youngstown, Ohio, man. And then, the Cleveland dudes, the Youngstown dudes, they don't get along. They start, man, I've seen some things there, man, that were just full-fledged, like, riots, man. Cleveland against Youngstown, it starts out with a basketball game. They're out there hooping, and guess what? Hands, feet, rocks. And who do you think's out there trying to stop the fight? The women, man. It's all women staff. This thing is going on for 10, 15 minutes. And eventually the Youngstown dudes get it in with the Rochester dudes out in the hallway. This is just the craziest prison you could ever be in, man, where it was just total chaos. And then I have this incident where, I get in a beef where I spoke about this, right, with the Hispanics, with the Mexicans, right, the Latin dudes, over a television, right? We want to watch UFC. Dude thinks he's running the show. He's from California. Catches, a lot of dudes were bringing drugs up from L.A., man, to Youngstown, Ohio, Cleveland, those areas. So the kid Bobby, if you're watching, man, get at me so we can do an interview, man. People would love to hear this story. And, pretty much, man, he's like, nah, you guys ain't watching no UFC over here. And we don't really have, a white TV. It's kind of like we share the TV. What do you mean a white TV? Listen, man, when you start getting into the feds and getting into these places, they got different TVs, man. They got the black TV. They got the Mexican TV. They got the white TV. They got, they just, you know what it is, man. It's racially segregated, I guess, to a certain extent. And I think there was only 3 TVs in Youngstown, Ohio when they first opened, right? And eventually they gave us some radios. Eventually they give us radios for free that you can hear the TV in. They put the monitor, so now we can hear the TV. We want to watch UFC. I believe it was Rampage Jackson was fighting. Damn, man, who the hell was he fighting, man? He was fighting someone. And we ended up having that fight on the television. And they're like, nah, man, we ain't watching no UFC. We're watching Orange County Choppers. So, man, me and the kid end up, beefing a little bit where I tell one of the white kids, go change the TV. We're taking the TV. Josh Liddy, if you're watching, you can tune in and hit me up too. Josh Liddy out of Ohio. He's there, man. Me and him are kind of like, I guess, the upper kind of tough dudes, I guess. But we don't have a TV, so how tough are we, right? So at this point, man, I'm pretty pissed off. I'm like, yo, man, we're taking over the TV. This is our TV now. And me and the kid Bobby, we get it in, man. We fight like men. Man to man, 1-to-1. His people don't jump in to help him. He is a little bent out of shape, thinking that, his people were supposed to help him, and they didn't help him. So anyway, man, now there's we take the TV. And Bobby pretty much is like, yo, man, we're going to have to share this TV. No one else can touch it but me and you. And I compromise. All right, man. But pretty much we're watching UFC on this TV from this point forward. That's what it is. That's what's going to happen. We'll share the TV, but, we kind of took their TV. I won. So if you win, then you get the what? You get the booty. I don't mean that booty, man. I mean the riches, right? Damn, man, you got a sick mind thinking like that. But anyway, we pretty much take over that TV. But there is some dissension. Some people don't like me. There's this white kid who goes to them and he starts talking some bullshit, telling them, damn, bro, I can't believe, man, that dude did that, man. That was your guys' TV. His kid's name was John, and he's out of Ohio too. And John hit me up since he's been out of prison. I think he hit me up on Facebook or something when I had first got out. And John, he's like playing the wrong side of the fence, right? Like I told you, it's just how it is, man. It's racially segregated to a certain extent, right? Depending on where you're at and what prison. I didn't choose that, but that's what was chose. But because I'm from New York, I did have some friends like Rugged and some other people. But eventually, he ends up going his way, I go mine. And he ends up getting out of jail and dies in a car accident in Rochester. So anyway, this kid John's like telling them dudes talking shit about me behind my back. And I find out, who do you think tells me? Bobby tells me. So I pull him up and I'm like, back then I wanted to act like I was a tough guy, right? This is prison. You want to set the tone. I started convincing myself of all the prison movies, right? That I'm going to be the shot caller. I'm going to be the boss here. Now that I won us a TV, man, it's me. I'm the boss. It had already been that way with me and Josh Liddy. Like, we were kind of like the bosses of the white dudes, That's a hell of an accomplishment to be proud of, right? I'm in prison. I'm the boss of the white guys. Bullshit, man. It's nonsense. It's prison nonsense. But anyway, I pulled a dude up in the cell, and I'm like, man, I'm smashing this dude, bro. Josh Liddy's hyping me up like, yo, bro, the dude can't be talking about us like that. So I take the kid in the cell, man, and I do. I whomp this kid. We end up in the hole, and, the cop ends up coming down there, and he ends up letting me out. He's like, look, man, it is what it is. I'm going to let you out. He lets me out of the hole. I go back. Now I'm like the savior, right? I'm like, people are like, you feel like when you're in prison that a lot of people are tough, right? That's your perspective, man. People in prison, people that never been to prison or been to jail, you're like, man, them dudes are dangerous, man. They're prisoners. Man, I've been with some of the softest dudes in the world in prison. And not everybody's a tough guy, right? Not everybody's built for war. And a lot of dudes, believe it or not, don't want confrontation, especially in this, private prison kind of a county jail environment, man. Dudes ain't looking for trouble. They really don't want to fight. A lot of these dudes are drug addicts. A lot of these dudes are petty drug dealers. A lot of these dudes ain't really been in shit, although people think that they have. So pretty much, man, I take over. But there is some dissension. There's some people that don't like me. And eventually we get a celly, right? He can't speak English, Mexican dude. He came from Atlanta. He brought like 8 keys down to Ohio, to Cleveland. He gets busted, right? We used to call him Amigo. He couldn't speak English. And that's when I first started trying to learn Spanish. They put him in our cell. It's me and this kid, Carl Dyer. I might be able to find pictures of Carl. Carl's from Elmira. Me and Carl in the same cell. And this dude comes in the middle of the night and he gets a boat. And we like this dude. Like, we feed him, we eat with him. He's got a couple of dollars too. We got a couple of dollars too because, we haven't been in jail that long. We still got some of that street money, man. It don't last long, but we still got some of it. We're eating good. He's our buddy, man. This is our friend. And then, he's buying commissary, and there's this Puerto Rican dude that lives in the cell next to us. Acts like he's the toughest dude in the world. Really, man, he's a heroin addict, right? No disrespect to anybody that's drug addicted, but I'm just telling you what it is. Dude is a drug addict. He came from the street, drug addict, got swept up in a big drug conspiracy. They were selling dope out of his house. And he keeps coming over to my celly, man, the Mexican kid, right? And kind of like friendly extorting him. What's friendly extorting? Act like he's your buddy, man, just open up your locker. But really, man, dude is a little bit like afraid of this guy, right? Dude acts like he's the toughest dude and he's the boss of them. And he starts taking advantage of my celly, man. And one day I tell him, I say, hey, man, stop coming over here, bro. Stop asking him for shit. Like, I just was in you ever get in one of them moods, man, where you just feel like, this is how I used to be. I'm not like that anymore. You just feel like, man, fuck today, right? And fuck this dude. I had already been feeling like that. And, let me tell you something else this dude used to say this really made me dislike him. He used to walk around the unit talking about, I'm going to start punching people in the face today just for living. I'm like, man, I'm thinking in my mind, like, I wish he would punch me in the face. I wish he would punch me in the face. So anyway, maybe I wasn't, well, I think I was thinking that, right? I wouldn't want him to sucker punch me, but eventually he tries to sucker punch me. And we're going to get into that. So anyway, long story short, like I get on, dude, and tell him pretty much, man, you're not welcomed over here, man. And he takes that as a disrespect. Hey, man, it's my people. Man, I don't care who it is, bro. I don't care who it is. And then later on in the day, man, we're playing Scrabble, right? And he's like over there watching us. He usually draws pictures and makes cards. That's his hustle. And friendly extort my celly and anyone else that's, scared of this cat. So we're over there playing Scrabble. And he's over there like looking over my shoulder. I hate when people look over my shoulder, especially this dude. He's looking at the board and he starts offering, hey, man, that's not a word. And I remember looking back at him saying, hey, man, I don't bother you, man, when you're, painting your pictures over there or drawing your cards. I say, hey, man, mind your business, man. Pretty much, I don't like you, man. Mind your business. And then he says something to me, right? He's like, I don't like you, man. And I look at him and I said, you know what? I don't like you either. I'm being sarcastic, right? And he says something else to me. And I'm like, yeah, all right, bro. You better get on, man. Go ahead, man. Get lost. And I see him out of my peripheral vision. He swings at me. And when he swings at me, he brushes me. Just hits me because I kind of move out of the way. And I get up, man. And I start beating. I wish someone from Youngstown, Ohio, man, that was there would tune in, man. If you're tuning in, you were there, man. I want you to come on and we'll talk about this incident, right? Dude hits me, man, from the side and just brushes me. And I get up, man, and we start working. Bum, 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 bum. And I'm getting the best of him. He runs and grabs a broom. You know them push brooms? You know the bottom part of that broom? He hits me. He hits me with the bottom part of the broom. We're working, right? But when he hits me, I feel like he broke my arm. So I tell Josh Liddy and a couple of the white dudes, I'm like, yo, man, grab the broom. Man, grab the broom. He hurt me. They don't grab the broom. I end up running and I get a broom too. I get the broom and he goes to swing that broom at me again and I whack him with it. Boom, I hit him on the hands. He goes, aye! I'll never forget that, man. When I whack him on the hands, he drops the broom. And when he drops the broom, man, that's when it just gets really nasty, man. I start binging this kid. He falls on the ground. And sometimes back then, man, when I'm whooping you, I used to talk shit to people, right? That don't make me a tough guy. I get my ass whooped too. But he's on the ground and now I'm holding on like, you like that? Bang, bang. And the dude's bleeding everywhere, man. There's blood everywhere. And then finally, man, I let him go. He stands up. He tries to fight some more. Boom, boom, boom. And I drop him. I lay him out in the middle of the day room, man. He gets back up. And there's this big fat kid there named Gordo, Mexican kid. He grabs Gordo. He's like, Gordo, help me, Gordo. And he's grabbing Gordo, man. Blood everywhere. Cops come in there. They run in there. And then, one of the cops was this big fat Spanish lady, real nasty. And this is when I got real nasty back. She's like, put your fucking hands behind your back. Like talking to me. She grabbed me. Like she wants to grab. She didn't. She's trying to grab me. Put your fucking. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, man, I'm going when I'm ready to go. And I go up in my cell, man. I pack all my own shit. And eventually I go to the hole in Youngstown, Ohio. But, I'd spent a lot of time in Youngstown. But these are the things that happen, man. These are the people that you run into. And I'm not going to lie to you, man. I thought that the kid, I wasn't intimidated by him, right? He used to walk around and talk about, man, I'm going to punch people in the face just for living today. And I used to feel like, man, is this motherfucker directing this at me? And I used to think like, damn, man, if I fight this dude, I used to think it was possible, man. He probably got some hands on him, I remember him talking about he was a professional boxer in Puerto Rico and all that shit. Man, all that shit went out the window, man. We start working, that shit went out the window. Doesn't, I don't want to come across, I don't tell a lot of my own personal stories because I don't want it to come across as, oh, man, you was the toughest dude in jail. Nah, I wasn't. I get my ass whooped too. I tell people that all the time. And I've been jumped in prison. I've been stabbed in prison. But I should probably start pulling out some of the shots and stuff if I'm going to talk about these stories, just so you guys got confirmation of what's really going on. So anyway, man, I pack my own shit. I go to the hole. And I had spent a lot of time in Youngstown, Ohio, man. And the staff members used to think I was absolutely an animal, absolutely nuts. They didn't kick you out of there, man, because like I said, no one really cared. And that case manager that I'm talking about, eventually, I think she probably still works over in that area, right? Eventually, I come back. When I win my, when I'm going, not win, but when I'm on my compassionate release going back for a hearing, they take me back there. That's where they're housing me at. And I remember going there, and I hadn't seen these people in so long. But let me tell you the other aspect about prison, man. After you're in a place for so long, the staff members get to know you, right? There's a lot of turnover, but the staff members get to know you. And some of them, like I said, man, a lot of them were from the street. A lot of them had a cousin or a nephew or a son that ended up in jail, or a brother that got life for murder. And these were the people that were working there. This is life, man. This is real life. And, there's a big shout out to this lady, man, if she's even watching, Miss Grant. She acted like she cared about me, man. She was a counselor there, man. She cared about people, man. She did her job. She didn't do no illegal shit. She did her job, but she acted like she cared, man. And when you're in that environment and you're facing the rest of your life in prison, the sad reality of prison is you want someone to care about you, man. At that time, I pretty much had no one left but my mom, right? Wife left, friends leave, but Mom Dukes is there. And those people acted like they cared about me, man. And then eventually I would come back to her, like I was saying on that compassionate release hearing, and I seen them. They're all big shots now. They're big wigs now at this place. And I remember, that one case manager I was talking about, she tells another dude, she says, "That's Chad Marks." I hear her whisper this shit, and I look over there like, oh, shit. And they're like, oh, shit. They're thinking, man, I'm coming in there like a demon, but I'm not a demon anymore, man. I'm a different dude, man. I'm a dude trying to get out of prison. I'm educated. I'm not immature no more. My freedom matters to me. And I'm like, look, man, I ain't the same dude no more. And there had been incidents where I had told them, they want to try to put me in the hole. I'm like, I'm going to smash this whole R&D, because I came back on a hearing on a 2255. After my direct appeal, I came back for a hearing, and they were trying to put me in the hole. And that had been like 4 or 5 years after I had left there. And I'm like, man, I'll smash everything in this place, man. I need a phone call. Let me call my lawyer. Let me call the marshals. I know the law now. I'm talking that law shit. But I'm also like, man, I'll smash everything in here. And they're like, man, just calm down. And the case manager and the captain pulled some strings. Miss Austin was the captain back then. I think she ended up getting fired. Miss Austin, she looked out for me. And she's like, nah, Marks. She was the captain now. She used to be a CO when I started going there, when I first went there. And she ends up putting me in the unit, so things worked out. But then I come back, man, I'm a different dude, man. I changed my life. And I tell them, look, man, I ain't looking for no trouble. I'm on my way out. And then I ended up seeing Miss Grant, and I'm like, yo, man, tell her I wanted to see her. She worked on the other side. She came over to say hello. I'm like, yo, what's up? How are you? I'm glad to see you. And they're like, yo, man, we're really happy for you. We're happy that, you looks like you're getting out, man. Then people never forgot me, and I never forgot them. But it matters, man, sometimes when some people care about you. Like I said, these were people, I just felt like they were from Youngstown, Ohio, but they were the same type of people that I grew up in my neighborhood. They actually care. But what's the moral of the story, man? What's it really like? You end up in these places, man, you could end up dead. That's what it's about. You could end up, man, laying down and having a dude hit you in the head with a lock that told on you. And you could end up losing your life. I got a client right now who's at, I believe it's USP Canaan. And he's like, yo, bro, I never been into a pen. He got his points moved up. He started out at a camp, man. Now he's in the pen. We put in his compassionate release motion. And just the other day, they tell him, yo, bro, you got to go put in some work. What's putting in work? He's got to go out there and put his hands on someone with 2 other dudes. There goes his compassionate release motion. Now he's got a serious assault charge. But these are the politics in prison. If he doesn't do it, what happens? You don't have to worry about compassionate release anyway. Because now they're going to smash him too and possibly kill you, man. This is jail. This is prison, man. Not glorifying prison, not glorifying, putting your hands on people. But you never know who you're going to be around. We're going to do a story on Donnie LaFon. Him and Blue from SAC, Soldiers of Aryan Culture. And ARM, I believe, what's ARM? Aryan Resistance Militia. They kill a dude. And who's the dude that they kill? They killed the dude that went on the mission with Mark Jordan because dude didn't want to go to a Florida prison. I got an interview with Donnie. You're going to actually hear his voice. Like, you're going to hear his voice. And you know what? He had 4 or 5 years left on a 25-year sentence. And what do you think he's got now? He's got life. How would you like to end up in a cell with Donnie LaFon? Maybe I'll put a picture up of him. A picture that no one else has, probably. But anyway, man, Blood on a Razor Wire TV. Hope you like it when I do personal stories. We're going to do those. Documentaries take time. I'm trying to get evidence, put in, some freedom of information stuff on, this case that I just did on, for a kid that was a Crip, ends up with a life sentence. Biz, I'm doing, that's what they call him, Biz, but Larry, you know what it is, man. We're going to do his documentary. We're going to do a couple of Alabama. But I hope you guys like what we're doing anyway, man. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. I hope you like it, and maybe it's a teachable moment. With respect, until tomorrow, we're out.